Hello campers, this is the Suburban Camper and this is a video on how I use a deep cycle battery and solar panel while camping in my Suburban. First and foremost, I am not an electrician or any kind of expert on batteries. Please read all the manuals that come with your equipment and follow all the instructions and abide by all the safety warnings. If you're not willing and able to do this, you should not use a deep cycle battery or solar panel. I recommend you spend some time at the website batterystuff.com to learn more about how batteries and solar panels work and how to stay safe. Yes, they sell batteries and solar panels, but I've found the website to be a great resource for learning about power setup options and how to stay safe while using them. It also features some handy calculators to help you decide what power setup will work for your applications. I chose an AGM battery, which stands for Absorbed Glass Mat. They are the safest type of battery, but again, please follow all the instructions and abide by all the warnings. I utilize a 12 volt 100 amp hour battery rated at 10 hours. Now again, I'm not an electrician or any kind of expert on batteries, but basically what this means is this battery is rated to provide 10 amps per hour over a 10-hour period. That is way oversimplifying it, as there are many factors involved, including the fact that you should not deplete the battery to less than 50% of its capacity. So if we stick to that rule, then this battery will provide up to 10 amps per hour for 5 hours. So why did I choose this size battery? Well, I wanted the most power I could get in a manageable size and weight. A 200 amp hour battery weighs over 130 pounds, so that was out of the question. And therefore I chose my 100 amp hour battery, still heavy at 65 pounds, but manageable. So what will work for your applications? Well, you can certainly spend a lot of time doing the math and you should have a basic understanding of the numbers, but what I recommend is simply getting the most power you can manage and use it for the applications you need to determine how it can or cannot meet your needs and then adjust your plan accordingly. For example, I know the math tells me my battery is not going to power a space heater, but sometimes that is the best solution to get warm, so I have a generator to power it. My approach to manage the battery power is simply monitor the voltage with a basic inexpensive multimeter to make sure it does not get much below 12.2 volts, which represents that 50% charge level. In addition to that, I follow my ABC principle, always be charging, and charge whenever possible. So if I'm at a campsite with power, I use a battery charger. If there is no power at a campsite, then I use the solar panel, which I also use while traveling. I will also use my generator to charge the battery. Due to the heavy weight of the battery, it is contained in a doubled up 17-gallon storage bin. I have small holes drilled through both bins for ventilation, and I also have large holes drilled for connections. I have dedicated the space at the foot of the driver's side bed as the spot for the battery bin. The reason for this again has to do with the heavy weight. I only want to load and unload it once on a trip. Also, the cooler fits nicely into the top of the lid, so I put it on top of the battery bin and then I can easily access it via the rear window. Just be sure the cooler drain is closed and there are no leaks. Here's the inside of my battery bin. I carry a socket and drive to tighten the connections. I have a short extension cord to connect the inverter to my power strips. Please note I'll be doing a separate video on using an inverter. Here's my basic and inexpensive multimeter. We have 13.3 volts, so we are fully charged and ready to go. I carry the manuals for the solar panel, battery, and battery charger in this bin so I can refer to them. Again, please read them, follow the instructions, and abide by the warnings. Here are my safety glasses. Always wear them when making connections or disconnecting the battery, and be sure to follow the connection order detailed in your manuals. Please note, I already had some safety glasses on when I was testing the battery. Here are the cables I use for connections. Be sure these are secure and will not accidentally touch the battery posts. I have plenty of padding around the battery to protect it and secure it. I also have a box in the bin that helps secure it, and it stores cables for accessories. Here is the 12 volt connector, which allows you to plug in chargers and devices that normally plug into your vehicle's 12 volt outlets. I primarily use this to connect my electric blanket, and there is a dedicated hole in the bin for this connection. And here is the connection for the solar panel, again with a dedicated hole in the bin. And so that's the setup. Now let's take a look at the connections. First, let's start with grounding the battery. This is a very important step. On the side panel at the back of the Suburban is what I believe is a cargo holder connection here. It's bolted solidly to metal behind the panel. So I bored out the hole a little bit and put a washer on the back side of the plastic bolt head, and this is where I connect the ground wires. This includes this ground wire for the battery, and here is how it connects to the battery. The additional wire there is for the connection from the battery to the inverter, and here is the ground wire for the inverter. The first and most important connection to a battery is an inline fuse to protect both you and your devices from a dangerous power discharge. As you can see, the positive cable is connected to the battery, which then connects to one end of the fuse blocks, and the other end is where you'll make your connections. In this example, I have my 12-volt outlet and the solar panel cable connected. Please note, both of those also have inline fuses to further protect me and the connected devices. You can see the ground is connected to the battery, and the fuse block comes with a cover. I use this 20-watt solar panel to charge my battery. I have it mounted on a bin lid so it can either just sit on top of a bin at a campsite, or it can serve as the lid for a bin in the hitch bin carrier and charge the battery while traveling. As you can see, it's raining today. Good thing the panel's waterproof. It comes with a stand which can be adjusted to multiple angles to collect as much sunlight as possible. Here's the controller that comes with the panel, and it's blinking green, meaning we are getting sunlight even on this rainy day. Here is what the setup looks like when I put the solar panel on a bin in the hitch cargo carrier. You can simply just connect the cord from the controller to the battery through the rear window, and it will still close tightly. So what does the 20-watt solar panel rating mean? Well, of course I turned to batterystuff.com to get that answer. They say a 15-watt solar panel delivers 1 amp hour per hour of direct sunlight. So if we stay on the conservative side and use that number for my 20-watt panel and stick with the fact that I'm not going to discharge my battery below 50%, it will take 50 hours of direct sunlight to recharge a fully discharged battery. Yikes, that does not seem like it will work. However, let's take a look at a practical application and forget about the math for a bit. In this example, I used an electric blanket on a 3-night camping trip with temps at or below freezing. All I knew was I left home with a fully charged battery, and the electric blanket is rated at 4 amps. Does it always draw 4 amps, or does it draw less once it warms up? I have no idea. So the first night, the temp was in the teens, and the electric blanket kept me warm the entire night. I traveled to another campsite the next day, and I arrived in the evening and knew it would be another cold night. I had no idea how much power I used the night before, but I wanted to be sure I could power the electric blanket all night. So I fired up the generator and charged the battery with my 4-amp battery charger for about an hour and a half. I was warm all night with temps around freezing, strong winds, and snow on the ground in the morning. The next day was beautiful and sunny, so I charged the battery off and on for most of the day with the solar panel, and then gave it about an hour of charging with the generator in the evening, and I was toasty all night. So this is a good example of just getting out there and trying it to see what works rather than spending too much time on the math. Would the electric blanket have worked all night on the second night without the boost from the generator, or the third night with just the solar panel charging? Maybe, but I figured I would stand a better chance of staying warm all night with a boost from the generator, so that's what I chose to do. The next time I go out cold camping, I will see if I can make it 2 nights without any charging, and then adjust my plan accordingly. So that is my deep cycle battery and solar panel setup. It's pretty simple and straightforward, and it meets my needs at this point, but I know I will continue to tweak it as needed. For example, I will probably step up to a higher amperage battery charger. I'm thinking a 12-amp one would allow for faster charging and work well with my generator, which has a max output of 13 amps. If you learned something from this video, please subscribe. And if you want to learn more about how to camp in a Suburban, please visit suburbancamping.com. Thank you very much.